Good evening. I'm Spot On Weather meteorologist Matthew Euler, and today's presentation we're going to talk about Arctic air and even possible snow somewhere nearby across the Mid-Atlantic region. I want to start tonight's video by saying happy holidays to you and your family from Spot On Weather. I hope everybody's having a great time as we celebrate the holidays. So first thing I'm going to start off with, speaking of the holidays, is the Christmas Day forecast. On the left side, I have a 300 millibar, 30,000 foot general upper air chart, which shows you the orientation axis of the jet stream. And on the right, I have the temperatures at 5,000 feet. All right, so starting off on Christmas Day forecast, we're looking at a change in the pattern with amplification of the polar front jet stream extending from Canada down into the Mid-Atlantic region. And when that happens, that's going to allow the transport of much colder temperatures, basically coming from Canada down to the base of this long wave trough. And as a result, Christmas Day forecast is going to be generally colder and drier across southeast Virginia. We do have a cold front that will pass through the evening of the 23rd, overnight of the 23rd, into early morning on Christmas Eve day, the 24th. And behind that frontal system, that's when the temperatures will start getting colder again. All right, so Christmas Day, as far as your activities and plans, looks dry and cold. We will have a little bit of wind as their stronger winds are blowing from the northwest, bringing the colder temperatures. So it'll be a little breezy out there, but overall dry and cold. No issues with traveling if you have travel plans. Moving on now to the surface chart for Christmas Day. Here is where the cold front is at this point in time, well offshore. You got a strong area of low pressure that's situated generally in the Gulf of Maine at 998 millibars, intensifying. So if you're looking for a white Christmas, as I mentioned on last night's video, you need to go up to New England, New York State, basically Connecticut, Massachusetts, and up into New Hampshire, Vermont, and into Maine. That's the area that's going to have some snow and have a white Christmas for sure. There's a 1034 millibar high situated over south central Arkansas on Christmas Day. Again, the clockwise flow around the high in the northern hemisphere will bring in a more northwestern wind component into southeast Virginia and will lower the thickness values, which indicates colder air overall. Okay, now moving on to the day after Christmas on the 26th. The jet stream still remains highly amplified as it extends from basically northern Canada down into the upper Midwest and across the mid-Atlantic states and into through New England there. The coldest air is denoted by these oranges, these maroons, these red colors. The purple shows that, again, it's going to remain fairly cold across southeast Virginia on the 26th as well. All right, and now I'd like to mention a couple interesting things. The winter storm threats over the long range. I did mention Arctic air and possible snow nearby. So right now, this is on the 28th. This is storm threat number 1, winter storm threat number 1. There will be an area of lower pressure developing somewhere in the southeastern United States. We have a strong 1,048 millibar high, extending some colder air all the way down the eastern seaboard. And whenever precip and associated with this low pressure, any kind of precip that overruns the colder air at the surface could result in either a mix, ice, or snow even into the Mid-Atlantic region. Now this is, as of right now, this is afternoon hours, about 1 p.m. Eastern time on the 28th. And then this goes in now to 1 a.m. overnight on the 28th into the morning of the 29th. Cold high pressure again, funneling the cold air down the eastern seaboard from New England into the Mid-Atlantic. And as you can see, there is some snow fairly close by southeast Virginia at this time. A lot will be dependent on the track and the development of the system over the coming days, as well as the placement of the colder air. So this is definitely a very interesting development, something we got to keep an eye on. Somewhere between the 28th and the 30th of December, there is a possibility of a winter storm in the Mid-Atlantic region. Now, what are the ingredients for an East Coast winter storm? First of all, at 30,000 feet, we have a trough, a long wave trough into the eastern seaboard, into the Mid-Atlantic region. So we have all this cold air, which is allowed to funnel down from Canada. So we have that to start. You have a lot of jet stream energy indicated by these yellow colors. The energy is indicated by these yellows, which indicates higher wind speeds. Whenever you have higher wind speeds in association with a jet stream nearby, there's certain quadrants of these jet maximums of speeds that will result in rising air in the atmosphere. So we have a lot of energy nearby, upper level dynamics, cold air pouring into the base of this trough. And then this chart here on the right is actually what's known as a vorticity chart. And the yellows and the oranges and reds indicate areas where the air typically rises, or positive vorticity values, higher vorticity values blowing into Southeast Virginia at this point in time, somewhere between the 28th and the 30th. And whenever you have these higher vorticity values, these red colors or orange colors, that indicates again where air is rising more rapidly. And then also the trough axis is tilted more negatively, orientation from the northwest to the southeast, which indicates a strengthening surface storm system. So all the ingredients are coming together. I mentioned in our last night's video how ideal the conditions are becoming for some sort of winter storm across the East Coast, the Mid-Atlantic region in the coming weeks. This is also a very interesting development in today's forecast guidance, and that is how cold, how icy New Year's Eve and New Year's Day may actually be across Southeast Virginia this year. At this point in time, this is the morning of New Year's Eve day, a strong 1,041 millibar high over southern Missouri, and there's just a lot of cold air circulation clockwise around, just a lot of cold air pouring into Southeast Virginia, the Mid-Atlantic region. Very gusty winds as well from the northwest. That's going to result in wind chill values in the 20s during the daytime. And then if you look here at about 1 o'clock, 1 Eastern time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, again, it's high pressure situated basically near Memphis, Tennessee, and the cold winds continue to funnel in that Arctic air into Southeast Virginia. Basically, on our latest guidance, if this were to actually verify, we could be looking at high temperatures only in the 30s on New Year's Eve, with temperatures dropping to the 20s at night when you're out and about celebrating and bringing in 2018. You're going to have to dress very warmly the way the pattern looks at the present time. We do have some time to monitor the situation. Obviously, being that we're about 9 days out from this point, things are subject to change, but as of right now, the pattern is looking very, very cold to bring in 2018, the new year. And this is the full Arctic plunge in the eastern U.S., showing the very cold temperatures at 5,000 feet. These are just pouring, the vectors, these arrows are just pouring, basically pointing in from the north-northwest, which is just allowing this just to continue to infiltrate into the eastern U.S. going into the new year. And then we have the jet stream again with a trough over the eastern U.S., which is allowing colder air to plunge into the eastern U.S. Again, 31 December, 1 January look very, very cold. And then looking a little bit longer downrange, we have another winter storm threat around the 5th to the 6th of January. And this is a very similar track to last January's storm system, which started out as sleet for Southeast Virginia, eventually turning into all snow. It's a very similar looking storm system and a track and everything, where you have cold air. You have 1,037 millibar high over the Midwest, which is just pumping in the cold air. And then you have a major storm developing along basically the strongest temperature difference or gradient here over the near the Gulf Stream. And all this moisture getting just thrown over the top into the cold air into Southeast Virginia. So this is something else we've got to keep a really close eye on in the long range. All right, now I'm just showing you a couple of the weather models, how GFS is showing serious cold. This is off the 18Z run this evening. These are high temperatures, everybody. 42, 44, then the 27th of December, 41, 28th, 41. Then it comes up slightly around the 29th. But then look at this drop off for December 30th and the 31st. 33 and 26 were highs on the American GFS model. Just showing you how cold it is. This is the GFS ensemble forecast system. It's showing cold as well. Look at your temperatures after Christmas Day. Low 40s for the most part, some upper 30s, then mid 30s, basically to bring in the new year for high temperatures before things start gradually moderating a little bit to the low to mid 40s by the 7th of January. And then the European model is showing a very mild day tomorrow on the 23rd, but then look at the temperatures again on the European model. Only a high of 33 on the 28th, 29th, 37, December 30th, 36. Freezing for New Year's Eve day for a high. Now, granted, each of these models has different tendencies and biases. I just wanted to show you that all the models are generally coming to agreement of a major cold pattern for Southeast Virginia. So here are my final thoughts as I wrap things up tonight. We are expecting very mild temperatures on Saturday, 23 December tomorrow. Highs will be 68 to 73 degrees. Strong southwest winds will bring in a lot warmer air. You will not even think that any kind of cold was coming tomorrow. You're going to be out. You probably a great day to take your kids to the park if you want to do that. Just a very mild day overall tomorrow. And then we have a strong cold front that will move through Southeast Virginia overnight on the 23rd of December into the Christmas Eve day morning. And there'll be some rain showers accompanying that front. Then we have dry and cold Christmas Day with highs in the middle to upper 40s. So it will be windy from the northwest on Christmas Day. So it's going to feel much colder and much more like winter by Christmas Day. But it will be dry. And then we have this cold pattern which will be in place from 26 December through 5 January with highs during the coldest periods only in the 30s and the lows overnight in the 20s. Multiple major winter storm threats for the Mid-Atlantic region. 28 to 30 December and 3 to 6 January. This could have some significant snowfall amounts somewhere nearby and significant major disruptions to travel on roadways. So you want to stay tuned to Spot On Weather for the latest updates on that. So it's looking very wintry after tomorrow, after the 23rd of December, after the mild temperatures. It's turning back to winter. We do have Arctic cold. We do have possibility of some snow. Some accumulating snows in the Mid-Atlantic region. It's just something to keep a really close eye on. And we'll have further updates as we get closer to those events. All right, that wraps things up on Spot On Weather. Again, I want to wish everybody a happy holiday. Thank you so much for subscribing to our channel. We're up to 50 subscribers now, and I really appreciate everybody following us. We started off last year, with Spot On Weather, and we started off with just a handful of subscribers, and now, we're all the way up to 50, and again, thank you so much. I hope everybody has a great holiday, a very blessed Christmas, and even better, 2018. Great thoughts in 2018 as well. And just remember, we're Spot On Weather, and remember, if we're not spot on, we're not doing it right. Have a great evening, everybody. Again, happy holidays, Merry Christmas.